Okay, take 4, but hopefully this time we're good. Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we're going to kind of go over some stuff behind the camera that I've been doing with the GTI behind me, and I'm going to give you guys kind of a roadmap for future videos. And the reason for this video, because I know a lot of people have given me a lot of crap on this type of video in the past, is because I've done stuff off camera that needs to come to the front of the camera and just kind of give you guys a roadmap for what to expect coming soon, and just kind of a general update on the car. So we're going to talk about it because I do these kind of once every 3 months or so with this car, because I was just trying to chronicle, you know, my year of ownership, my first year of ownership with the car at least. So expect another video in January, even though I think this one's a little bit late. No, it's actually a touch early. Yeah, so we're actually a touch early. But anyway, December is always busy, so I might as well get this video out early. But anyway, just kind of a roadmap of what's been going on behind the camera. The car is now running a different tune. I'll talk briefly on it because I think that's what made the last few takes so long. So pretty much I was running into a limp mode issue, and at the time I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know what limp mode was in these cars because I never experienced limp mode in anything outside of Ron's Veloster N when he was having limp mode issues, which he's fixed. But anyway, big issue is that I was just running into this big issue with limp mode, and at the time that it happened, I was just after a Tail of the Dragon trip, and I was pretty much just a couple days after my birthday. Went and got dinner with my girlfriend, and on the way back it did a quick pull in third gear, clicked it in the fourth, and it started to pull, and then all of a sudden lost power completely, dumped all the boost out, cut my throttle, and I coasted into my neighborhood. The car was idling kind of rough, so I put it in park, turned it off, and cranked it back up, and it was flawless. I drove it home, and I drove it the rest of the way home, and it was pretty much no issues. And I really don't know what happened. At the time, I have a lot of theories, considering that the two most common issues with limp mode on these cars is spark and overboost. And considering that it happened out of nowhere, I would assume it was more than likely spark, and especially considering I was still running stock plugs at the time, and I think that definitely had a lot to do with my issues at the time. So I wound up putting NGK projected tip plugs in the car that were iridium, so 1 step colder than stock, gapped correctly, as well as throwing in some Veltsport coil packs that were based on the RS3. They were Veltsport RS3 coil packs, and I was like, okay, we should be good. This is RS3 parts, and of course they're red, so I was just like, ooh, red coil packs, it looks good. I'm not gonna lie on that. I was kind of, that VW owner for a second there. So I did all that. I went ahead and did the swap, put the coil packs in, and drove it around for about another month before it really started having issues again, and I started having more limp mode issues. And my friend Hayden's house for his birthday, we had a pretty bad limp mode incident, and I was able to pretty much do it consistently for a little while. I was able, pretty much every time I was doing a full in third gear, it would kick in a limp mode, which ironically enough, after I've done all of these fixes, I still have not gone back and done a third gear pull to verify if the problem is actually fixed. So stay tuned for that. I might still be fighting this. So I wound up talking to HPA at the time, and we just kind of had a breakdown of communications from my perspective, maybe not theirs. They sent me pretty much, and as much as the internet did, just a lot of IS-38 stuff for wastegate actuator stuff, which obviously doesn't go with the IS-20 because they're two different actuators. And so I was dealing with that. We were trying to adjust it. My dad had horrible scratches on his left arm from trying to adjust my actuator on my IS-20, which was a complete waste of time because we wound up actually making the issue worse. The car was wastegate rattling. It was throwing an APC light, which is immediate limp mode for those who don't know how Volkswagen's EPC works. And so we fixed it, and then did a first wastegate adaptation, and it was fine. I was able to do a couple pulls after that with all of those parts in it, and it was fine for the most part, outside of the fact I haven't done a third gear pull since then, which is kind of an issue when that's where your issue lies. So at this point, I was just kind of annoyed. I explained my issues again to HPA, and they were actually, at least the rep I was talking to had to actually go ask for guidance because he didn't know that the difference between the IS-38 and the IS-20 was there. And so they got back to me, and that was kind of the last we really corresponded was after that, because at that point I was rather annoyed because, I was kind of thrown on a loop and kind of went for a wild goose chase for an issue that didn't really, for a problem project that I didn't have to do in the car because there was no project to be done. The wastegate actuator is perfectly fine on my IS-20. There's nothing to be worried about in that front. So at the end of the day, I actually wound up jumping ship. At this point, our last correspondence came after I'd already purchased the EQT stuff. So if I didn't give it away already, the car is now tuned by EQT. It's now EQT Stage 2 versus HPA Stage 2. The numbers should be relatively the same, if not, actually outside of torque for some reason. It actually makes 415 pound-feet of torque now instead of 407. So a little bit more torque, which is actually not the reason I switched to EQT. I was trying to get less torque because GTIs tend to blow up around 450. But that's been kind of the main thing. The car pretty much makes similar numbers. It's obviously got Cobb launch control, and I even tried out the burbles, which I posted on TikTok, and it has gone ridiculously explosive on TikTok, at least for some of my content. You guys know I'm not used to 1,000 views, so when I get it, I'm like, oh, I'm going viral. But no, I know it's not that big of a deal. In terms of big creators doing that regularly, they could post a picture of them, sitting in their yard, and they've got 10,000 views on it. But anyway, that's kind of been the main change. Obviously, a roadmap for the future. I'm trying not to keep this video terribly long. Actually, I do want to mention briefly that now I'm on an Access port. I now also have UCDS and all that kind of stuff, so we're going to do some tweaks with it in the future, as well as getting the sequentials working on these guys, because that's a whole ordeal. Basic roadmap for the future. I can see my GoPro's battery is getting low, so I'm going to try to hurry this along. Pretty much I'm going to do a catch can next. I'm pretty much torn between the BMS, the Burger Motorsports catch can, as well as the 034 billet catch can. The issue is they both do the same thing, and I'm like, it doesn't seem like one's more efficient than the other. So I'm probably just going to do the BMS one just to save funds, because it's just all the other catch cans are obnoxiously expensive. It'll be IE, Racing Line, or 034. And if the only difference is one's built out of billet aluminum and the other one isn't, I'm willing to take the cost cut for it not being billet aluminum. I know Racing Lines is obviously a bigger can, though, so that is kind of a plus for Racing Lines. Outside of that, I think I'm probably going to have to put brakes head first, which was something I wasn't intending to do, because the brakes on this car are starting to make some racket, especially in the cold. They're squeaking more, and I'm just hearing a lot of racket from them. I was going through a drive-through today, and I was pulling up to the window, and all I could hear was the scratching of the wear indicators on the rotors, so it is something I'm planning on getting taken care of fast. Probably going to go to EBC rotors and pads just to kind of, do a budget brake system. I'm not going to go big brake kit on the car, I don't think, yet, unless I really think it's necessary after our next Dragon trip. And then Bilstein B16 coilovers are going on the car, and that's going to be kind of the next big mod you guys are going to see, is those Bilstein coilovers. So anyway, that's kind of that for now. I hope you all just kind of get a good update on the car, so to speak, and we'll be back with you guys soon for some more cool mod videos on this car, because there's plenty of stuff I want to get done still, and I'm trying to get this car dialed in before Wookiees next year, because obviously meeting some of my other friends from the internet for the first time, Mark 7.5 Shelby, Billionaire, if I've said your name wrong, again, correct me. I'm planning on getting a H&R sway bar for the car, and that was actually his recommendation. So hopefully I see both of them there, and obviously, Chris McKenna and other VW creators with Mark 7s up there. I'd love to get to see some of you guys and meet some of you all myself. But that's kind of where we're at. I'm just trying to get this car dialed in, and unfortunately, issues have gotten along the way, and it's just something I'm used to with cars at this point. My Sport Track was super problematic, so it kind of conditioned me to thinking that it was just this big nightmare. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Take care, guys, and I will see you guys later.